Well, I'm for extending the tax cuts, and what it will be on January 1st, a tax increase. And a majority of the House of Representatives would have voted to extend the entire, and I'm not sure if it would have been a temporary extension or if it would have been a permanent extension, but there was not a majority to raise taxes on incomes of 200, 250,000, which half the revenue generated from that level of income is small business. And we were supposed to adjourn October 8th in Congress. As Congressman Boehner said, our session didn't conclude, it collapsed. We adjourned the Thursday, October 8th was a Friday, we adjourned the Thursday before, not the Thursday before, it was, I guess it was September 30th when we actually, or October 1st. I guess September 30th. And because they didn't have the votes to do the tax bill, they adjourned. So who has the gavel in his or her hand is important. So instead of taking a vote, the Speaker adjourned Congress. And it's important because the reason is we're going to get a handle on the budget deficit two ways. One, we're going to control spending, which we just talked about. The second thing we're going to do is grow the economy. And we're not going to grow the economy, in my opinion, if you raise taxes on anybody during a recession, particularly small businesses.
Some would argue that if those tax breaks are, I guess one of the other options that's been offered is to extend the tax cuts for everyone but that upper tier, and some have argued that if you extend it to that upper tier, that's not money that's going to be flowing into the economy. That the argument's been given that that money will help create jobs, but that instead it will be saved and it won't be directed back into the economy to give that catalyst that you've talked about.
I think small businesses are struggling for cash to grow and to raise money. And people make that argument because they want to defend raising taxes because they want to spend it in Washington. And that's a false argument because small businesses today are struggling they can't get loans from banks. They're struggling to create cash and move forward. And the thing about that is that that's money that they will have. And the president doesn't disagree with that. What the president says, we're going to raise taxes on everybody at that level, and then we'll come up with a small business tax credit bill. So what it says is they acknowledge the problem on small businesses, but say, send us your money, and then we'll come up with a system to give it back to you if you do what we ask you to do. And there are a lot of smart people in the White House, but they're not smart enough to know what every Main Street business needs. I think that if you keep money in the pockets of businesses, they will know what they need to spend the money on and how they need to grow their business, or some small businesses will save. And I don't think that's wrong for small businesses to save, to hope when the economy turns around they're ready to invest and grow.
How will the extension of those tax cuts be paid for? I believe I've heard the number is $700.
Well, the whole tax cuts are $3.7 billion. So if we do nothing, there's a $3.7 billion tax increase, and I don't think that helps the economy. The question is, how do you pay for the $700 billion? That's what people ask for, and that assumes that if you let small businesses keep their money, they're not going to spend it. So they're not going to have economic growth. I think the two things that you have to do is control spending, as we talked about just a minute ago, but you also absolutely have to grow the economy. And that the growth in the economy, that's what happened in the 90s. Surpluses didn't come from restraining spending. Surpluses came from a growing economy. And I think that's where we have to get back to, a growing economy.